Welcome to Unlearning with Laura, the podcast where you get to rewire your mind, reclaim your power, and break generational cycles. I'm Laura Stiles, clinical hypnotherapist and mindset coach, and founder of The Mindful Generation, the place where parents come to transform their lives and live with more purpose and freedom. Let's dive in. Candice Mason is the founder of Mother Cuppa, a beautiful range of functional herbal teas designed to support women's hormone health and overall well-being. Her mission was born out of her own deeply personal journey navigating a hormone condition and early menopause, which inspired her to create blends that not only taste amazing but truly nurture the body from the inside out. Candice is passionate about empowering women to take charge of their health in a natural, holistic way, one soothing cup at a time. Through Mother Cuppa, she's created more than just tea, it's a movement to help women feel balanced, supported and connected to their bodies. Even the likes of Fern Cotton and Donna Ashworth rave about her teas. So I hope you enjoy this conversation and please listen to the end because we are announcing a very exciting partnership. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's podcast. Today I have with me Candice Mason from Mother Cuppa. Hello, Candice.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm very excited for this conversation. I want to start by asking you about the Happy Place Festival because I've seen that you were there at the weekend. Was it the weekend just gone?
Yes.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. My brain's all over the place because kids have just gone back to school today. And you know when like each day is just kind of merging into one?
Yes, I do know that feeling, yeah.
And I know it's been a big success and that you went last year. And yeah, tell us about the festival.
Yeah, so this is my third year at Happy Place Festival, actually. And I do the London one and the Tatton one as an exhibitor for my brand. But honestly, it's amazing. And you know, when you just go somewhere and you feel like you've just found your crew of people, so everybody's just so lovely and everybody's just out to have a super calm and relaxing day. And you know, get to meet some real lovely celebs that are kind of walking around, like they're actively encouraged to come around and chat to people. So you get to meet some amazing people that you've maybe admired for a while. And then they have all over the festival different tents, and at different times of day they have different speakers, different treatments. So obviously you've got sort of yoga and things like that, but they have some really interesting sort of holistic practices that maybe you might not have come across. So it's really great. You can get involved with as much or as little, or just hang out in this really what is quite a cool vibe to hang out in. So yeah, it's my favorite festival to do each year, and I'm working it.
That's amazing. I really want to go to it. And in fact, a couple of people, I really love Kirsty Gallagher, and I know that she's there and she was there when you went, and Francesca Amber as well. I'm part of her book club and I know she was doing a talk there.
Amazing. Yeah. And I like Donna Ashworth.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, and every year they've had different guests and speakers, and actually there's quite a few that have come on to purchase my tea blends as a result. So my claim to fame is we've got obviously Fern Cotton drinking the tea, Holly Tucker from who was not on the high street, Emma Neville is like my new best friend.
Oh, amazing.
As a brand, it's a great place to be. But as a person visiting, I just 100% go. Don't think about it. And there's loads of ladies that go on their own, which I love. And you don't get that at any of the other festivals and things that I've attended. So don't feel you have to go with a friend. Go and do that something for you.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna be really nosy and dive into your brand and you and why you set up Mother Cuppa Tea. But let's just start with how you got into blending tea and that side of it.
Yes. So I think it might even be 25 years ago. It's a long time ago, right? I was diagnosed with endometriosis. I was really lucky to get a diagnosis back then. And I had a very invasive surgery at the time. I'd been on loads of medication and they placed me through an medically induced menopause, which they then reversed. So I've had like horrific amounts of hormone treatment in my early 20s. And when all of that finished, it had been pretty horrendous. And I just thought, I just don't want any medication in my system. I don't even know what a normal period is supposed to feel like. I don't even know what my body really feels like. I mean, the thing with endometriosis is not just the endo, it's the complications. So I had problems with my bowels and bladder, all sorts of things. So I decided to come off of all medication and start to look at what could I do that would really help my body, which, if you think 20 something years ago, was pretty woo-woo. Like, I was not normal doing that. And there was no social media. There was no influencer saying to me, oh, Candice, why don't you try this? Which I would have loved. So the library gave me a book about endometriosis, which I think they had to get that in from America or somewhere. But again, it just wasn't the topic that was talked about. And there was loads of stuff in there around sort of what you're eating and how that might help. So your nutrition, all the stuff we talk about these days, yoga practices, calming, breathing techniques and things like that. But there was a really small section around medicinal plants. So I went to the health food shop, and the lady in there happened to be really interested in women's health. And so she gave me all these weird and wonderful ingredients. And she would say to me, just take it in a tea. Like, you'd have drops and leaves and things like that. And she'd say, it's really nice to take it in a tea because it's a lovely way to imbibe it. And that's kind of where it started, was more around me clasping at straws, trying to find things that were going to help me. And it's kind of gone from there, really. I much later trained as a tea sommelier. I saw an advert somewhere or an email or something. I thought, oh, that sounds really interesting. I'll go and do that. And it was just a personal interest thing that I wanted to do. And I got into, they were really great. I got into sort of specializing in blending. So I went on and did a few more courses. And really, it was never supposed to be a business. It was always kind of like a hobby and something that I just quite enjoyed and I took a lot of comfort from. And, there'd be periods in my life where I'd do loads of blending, and then other, a couple of years would go by and I hadn't done anything. It just was dependent on life, really, because that's the world, isn't it? So, but yeah, now I'm here today.
Yes.
Wow, I don't know how it's happened.
Oh, and you're doing so well, and it's so lovely seeing your journey and what you share on your and what I like about what you share on your social media, especially Instagram, is like your personal stuff. So when you've talked about like the struggles, and recently, I think it was within the last couple of months, you did talk about how everything was becoming a bit too much and you decided to completely switch off, and seeing like you and your husband going out doing like your camping or your walking and just like being with nature, but knowing that the business is not going to shut down and fail when you take that time out, which is very hard as a business owner, especially when you're a small business and you still want things to keep going and keep running in the background. When you take time out, that's a very hard thing to do. So I love like everything you share about the personal kind of side of it. And that's obviously because I'm a business owner myself. I love to see. So for me, I'm like, that's good to know. Maybe I can try that.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's really great to hear, because look, I have had some demons with social media. It's not a place I'm comfortable on. And I hate that it wants you to fit into this one box. They always say, oh, repeat. And I think, yeah, but that's not real life to me. I can weave my stories in and out of things. And we were talking before we came on about how I'd love to talk more about the hiking because I love it, and all my passions in life I want in one place. But of course, social media doesn't really encourage that, and neither does a business. Look, I have had an interesting business journey and learned a huge amount prior to launching Mother Cuppa. So I had a foundation in place, but that didn't make it any easier at all. And I've run a service-based business and a product-based business now, and the two, whilst they have some crossovers in terms of how you might operate them, they come with brand new skills to learn. Currently trying to work out how to do meta ads, which is literally like learning Japanese. And I have really struggled. You look out there and you think, oh, other people make it look really easy, and other people look like they're doing really well, and it makes it look like they're really comfortable. And I don't feel like that. I don't always feel comfortable. I say yes way too much and then burn myself out. And I've shared a lot about burnout because I had a really, really horrific period of it about 12 years ago. And, it's, again, another journey that you go on. And I think what I'm trying to say is I've come to realise through my journey with Mother Cuppa is that actually life is so eclectic, and it's not one size fits all, and your life is not supposed to be linear. And I really want to try for myself to celebrate me and the things that I am loving or not, and to come at it from a slightly different angle rather than feeling like, oh, I should be like this, or I should fit in that box, or I should be doing it like this, or that guru told me this, or that business coach thinks that. I've got to try and come up with my own mind, which is crazy, isn't it? In your 40s that they haven't worked that bit out yet.
Yeah, but that's really hard to do when we are so reliant on free marketing, which is social media, because that's all we see. And so we, as tribal beings, we want to sort of like conform and do the things that we think we should be doing. But actually, it is refreshing when you share like the personal stuff. I'm like, oh, that's really good to know. Like, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. And that makes me feel like I'm normal, because it doesn't feel like that for me every single day of my life in business. So yeah, that's I just think it's very helpful to a lot of people to see that.
I really like that, because I was talking to somebody about it at the weekend, actually, who's been a customer of mine for some time. And she said, oh, I just love your emails. And I was thinking, do you really? Because I mean, I obviously talk about my herbal tea blends, but I'm like sharing where me and my daughter went on holiday and the hike that me and my husband did. I literally have no idea what to put in those emails. I'm just telling people about me, the business, what I've been doing. And she said, honestly, every time I get an email from you about one of the hikes you're doing, I want to go out and do it. And I just thought, oh my God, I'd never thought that that's how it was being received. I was just thinking, I'm trying not to bore these people.
Oh, I love that though. You know what? That's made me think I need to get on your email list, because I love hearing about hikes. Because often me and my husband would be like, oh, let's go and do like a really lovely hike. Quite hard to do with young kids, but every now and then we'll try. But we're often like relying on other people to recommend, or like trying to Google, and then you spend so long like looking something up and you're like, but is it going to be, what's the terrain going to be like? Or is it going to be too hilly or whatever? So actually,
oh my God, I'd love to create like a hiking club where we get a cup of tea at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, oh my God.
My bliss that would be for me.
That would be amazing. I would join that 100%. But no, that's lush, because a lot of emails that not a lot, I only get a few sort of like emails on, because I'm not subscribed to much, but when I do get them, I find that you can tell when it has been written by ChatGPT. So actually, to hear that you're actually typing something about your real life, that is what people want to hear. So yeah.
And I'm coming to realise that the customers kind of want to get to know you as a person. And there is a really fine line between being oversharing, being vulnerable, feeling, and I haven't always got that right for myself, which was sort of what I shared about before I went on holiday. I shared something on social media and got some really unpleasant sort of feedback off the back of it. And it's the first time it's ever happened to me. And I think it just caught me at this really difficult time where I was tired from working every hour God sent to get this business working. And it just tipped the balance. And I sort of had to come, and I literally took 2 weeks off, as you said. And it was a really good lesson for me, because I realized my business doesn't implode, self-implode when I'm not switched on all the time, and how important it was to take that break. So me and my husband started doing what we call 6 weeks sprints. We started it a few years ago, and we do, because of the nature of running one business together and with Mother Cuppa being such a growth business. So we work really intensely for 6 weeks, and then we have 3 days off, and we literally go somewhere with no phone signal, take the tent, whatever the weather, and just go off for a few days. And it's been really, really useful. But the episode I had before I went on holiday, we hadn't managed to get that little break in. And so it's just a reminder that that's what works for us, and that's what we need to have, really.
So just goes to show that 6 week sprint is such a valuable thing to stick to, and like keep the boundary of like doing that 3-day thing.
Yeah,
great idea. I love that idea. Tell me a little bit about you mentioned about like how like the courses that you did to learn about being a tea sommelier, and tell us about some of the flavors and the blends, and like how maybe about like 2 or 3 of them, and how they can help with women's hormone, because a lot of people listening are mothers, and they may be reaching a stage of their life where they could be in perimenopause, or maybe they're not, and they just want a bit of hormone help with supporting, like balancing them out. So yeah, tell us a little bit about some of the flavors and blends.
Yeah, I will. I've looked. So when I launched with 3 blends. I called it the Wellness Collection, and they're numbered, so it's 1, 2, and 3. And I wanted that to be a blend for each step of the day to support you with your hormone health and your well-being. And I've chosen quite specific ingredients, so they're all caffeine free, and that is a personal journey that I found really helped me was to take caffeine out of my life. So if you're the sort of person that has any sort of sleep issues, anxieties, or indeed are starting to question whether your hormones are not doing what they used to do, just reducing, cutting out caffeine can have a really positive impact. And I would just try it for 28 days and see how you get on and see if it makes a difference. So that was really important to me. So I use what's called adaptogen plants in a lot of my blends, and what they do is effectively help your body to adapt to its internal stressors and try and keep the body in equilibrium. So you may have heard of an ingredient called ashwagandha, which is super, super powerful. I think I've been using that for donkey's years, and it's such a great ingredient for females to keep our bodies in balance. So that's in my Energize blend, and there's quite a few other ingredients in there. In the Hydrate blend for me was because obviously with the endometriosis, a lot of it is pain management, which is linked to a lot of inflammations within the body. So if you can manage the inflammation in the body, it can have quite a positive impact on your cycle each month. And I noticed things like, if I'd had, like, this is going back quite a few years, but if I'd had a massive binge at the weekend where I'd had lots to drink and Domino's pizzas or whatever, I always noticed my cycle would change. I was really, I really kept detailed diaries over the years of foods that I'd eaten and what was happening with my cycles and what have you. So I created the Hydrate blend to try and increase the fluid within my body. And again, I noticed that in the lead up to my cycle, if I took on more fluid, it had a really positive impact. But what I've come to discover, having been told I'm in early menopause, is estrogen acts a bit like a sponge. So in the lead up to your cycle, she will dip. And obviously, as you approach perimenopause, she's dipping quite a lot. So she takes a lot of fluid with her. And you'll hear women sort of say, oh, my skin gets really dry, I've got itchy eyes, or other things that might be a little bit dry without going into too much detail. And that is all part of estrogen dipping. So then what happens is your body is naturally becoming more and more dehydrated. Women are typically not great at getting loads of fluid inside them because we're running around after our kids all the time. And if you're struggling with hot flushes, you lose fluid. So you end up in this really horrible, vicious cycle. So I created the Hydrate blend because I wanted to remind women to make sure they could drink more. I've actually got a glass of it on my desk.
Oh, I love that.
I just sip away on this tea kind of all day long. She works really well as a cold brew as well. So it's me saying to you, don't forget to drink more during your day. And then the Relax blend, which is probably my top sort of selling blend, has some natural anxiolytics, natural sedatives in there. It's not enough to be knocking you out. I'm really sorry, ladies, I cannot make you sleep 12 hours. I wish I could. But there's some really lovely ingredients in there that I've deliberately wanted it to kind of really smell super intoxicating. It's got this lovely aromatherapy sort of smell to it. And it really nourishes your nervous system. So for most ladies, I think sort of having it as a nighttime tea blend, or you can come and hang out with me at 3 o'clock in the morning when my brain likes to switch on and I find myself sat there with it. So it was designed to kind of help with periods of anxiety in my life and just sort of bringing me down and calming me down, particularly when I've sort of had periods of burnout and sleep has evaded me. We've got another blend, which is Clarity, which was launched through a crowd.
That one's starting to do really well, isn't it?
Yes. So this weekend, so at the Happy Place Festival, she was our top selling product. So it's her first time being at the top. And I really must do a load of posts about it because it's super amazing. That it's not my blend. It was created by my customers. They told me what they wanted from a blend. I had customers as part of the taste testing team. And then we launched this immense crowdfunding campaign I thought was going to be a horrific public failure, and ended up being like the best thing I've ever done, for me as a person and for the brand and for my customers. So it's been a really lovely story, that one.
What does that taste like? I'm intrigued about this new one.
Okay, so it's actually got quite a sort of peachy aroma to it. It's very delicate, very subtle, gentle tea. Some of my other teas are a bit stronger. So my energized tea is really strong. It's got a real kick to it.
Yeah, that one I've been drinking quite a lot of because I've had that for a while. It's so nice. I love that one.
Yeah, and it's got a bit of ginger in it, but don't be put off by that. I know some people are not lovers of ginger, but it's so. I personally am gonna shout my own trumpet here. It's so well blended that it's really smooth. And what you'll find with each of the teas is, I mean, these taste nothing like you get in the supermarket. This is all about the skill of really blending ingredients together. So Clarity is designed to help. Well, what my customers wanted was, can I get rid of brain fog? I was like, look, I'm not a miracle worker. If I could get rid of brain fog, every woman in the world would buy my herbal tea blend. But I can create a level of sharpness and I can help with a bit of mental rejuvenation. So we've got what's called nootropic plants in that. And I mean, they are basically like brain tonic ingredients. And so they're just going to kind of pick you up. So really lovely mid sort of afternoon when you hit that little slump, like a really lovely tea to help. I had a lady message actually who's studying her master's, messaged me yesterday just to say, I've literally drunk the Clarity all afternoon. It's been amazing. So yeah, so she's doing really, really well. I'm really chuffed to bits with that. So
amazing. I need to try that one. Yeah, I'm a big fan of proper natural tea. I've always been I like a herbal tea in the evening, and I have to admit I'm going to have to get your evening one. I've just forgotten the name and you've literally just been talking about
Relax.
Yeah, that's it, relax.
Clarity.
I need the clarity to remember the relax.
Yeah.
I used to drink like a decaf builder's cup of tea in the evenings, right? That was like my go-to. And I used to have it with dairy milk every evening for like 20 years. That was my thing. And then I had some hypnotherapy from my teacher when I was in training to do my clinical hypnotherapy course. And essentially she rewired my brain to completely remove the dairy milk habit that I had, very long-standing habit, and replace it with a small dark chocolate square each evening instead, not every evening, but like whenever I felt like it, with a herbal tea. And so my husband was making me, because he's a gardener, he was picking chamomile from the garden and
I love that.
chamomile teas and things, which is great. But then I was like, I'm just going to go and buy some, like pucker and like those ones that you get from the supermarket. But actually, like you just said, when I drink the one in the morning that I have, it's so nice. That energized the flavor. Like it really is. When you talk about the blend and like how the flavors kind of like harmonize with each other, like it is nothing like what you get when you drink the ones from the supermarket. It's so much nicer.
So I think you will love the Relax blend. If I'm so confident. And the other thing is, it's very sweet smelling. It's not sweet tasting, but there is enough sweetness to it that it just kind of takes the edge off, because I like to stick my hand in a biscuit tin of an evening and it just, if I have that tea at the right time, it just takes the edge off that, needing that little sweet treat. So I would urge you to and you know, it's really interesting. Pucker, I want to talk about Pucker for a minute, because they were set up by two brothers actually from your sort of neck of the woods, I think.
Okay.
Really great. And I had this really great mission about supporting farms around the world that were producing these amazing ingredients. And they did a lot of work on the ethical side of things. And I think they were kind of one of the first bigger brands or up and coming brands that did that. But they sold to Unilever about 3-4 years ago. And it's just lost. I don't know if anybody's actually noticed the change in the taste, but they've lowered the quality of their ingredients. And this is what happens with high street tea, right? And I can comment on this because I'm trained as a tea sommelier and I have people working within these businesses and these industries I know, is they need it to be a really cost-effective product. So they take the plant and basically dice it into dust. So you end up with none of the actual goodness. And they do such a good job of marketing to us. And it's not doing you any harm, but it's not doing you any enhancement either. And I find that upsetting, because plants have been such a big part of my health. I mean, look, I'm not stupid. A cup of herbal tea is not going to solve all of your life problems, but it should be adding some good feelings. You should feel like you're adding to your health, which you are, and it should bring you great comfort. So yeah, that's it. I want you to go on to what was the other one I was going to talk about? Tea Pigs. That is a marketing. I mean, from a business perspective, they completely nailed it. They marketed that business as a husband and wife farm team, giving you the best quality of everything, when in reality it was owned by Tetley. And they made one of the tea sommeliers at Tetley, the two tea sommeliers at Tetley, they made them both directors of the company, so they weren't even married. So it was just a really old, yeah. So there we go.
Interesting. Oh no, I love
insider information.
I love hearing inside information on, especially stuff that like we consume, because you often don't hear about this stuff. But I love that, and I've always been into like conscious living in general, but in terms of like ethical, like what we put in our bodies. In terms, if I'm going to buy meat, I will get it from the local farm shop. I will deliberately not get it from in my supermarket shop, for example. And so yeah, when it comes to tea, like when you talk about like, I don't know, the dust and like it's the scrapings and some, I don't know, microplastics and all of that stuff. I just don't want that in my body anymore. I'm at the stage in life where I'm like, I can afford to get something that's good quality, and that's what I want to do now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You should get 2 cups out of each of the tea bags. I mean, definitely 1.5 cups. Depends. Like you're energized, you probably want that strength of flavor, but the hydrate one, you can just top that up with a bit more water and you'll get a bit more out of it. Which again, a good quality tea, you should be able to do that. I mean, if you buy sort of really good quality or black or green loose teas, you'll get several cups out of it, because the strength of the flavor is so good. So
yes, my husband is a big fan of lapsang souchong.
oh yeah.
So he'll have that, like we've got this glass teapot and he'll have that, and it's like a little ceremonial thing that he does. I'm actually just like in awe of it. I'm like, I should be doing that, because
I love that. I should be chatting to your husband. In fact, I bet you message me in a few weeks' time, you'll be like, my husband keeps stealing my relax tea. I'm going to put money on you sending me that message, because I get that quite a lot from
honestly, I reckon it's the sort of thing he would love. So I need to buy me some.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about, if it's okay, a little bit about your journey 12 years ago with Burnout and what happened there, and how did you come out of that?
Yeah. I know your audience is mostly mums, isn't it? Well, I'm mum to Lily, who is actually going to be 21 in a couple of weeks, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I've worked since Lily was a couple of months old, a tiny baby. I originally worked as a nanny at that point, so she just came with me. But so I'd worked and worked and worked, and I'd worked my way up through varying different roles. And man, is being a mum and working in a corporate kind of world really, really tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, with Lily being 20-something years old, the conversations that mums are having today is not what was going on 20 years ago. I felt a real sense of pressure to be all of those things, and there was no conversations around taking time off during school holidays. It was all just, you just have to juggle it, and you're just going to have to work out how to do it. So I really love talking to mums at this phase now, because I just think, oh my God, I wish that was what was happening when I'd had Lily. It was all still a bit girl powery back then.
Yes.
So I'd taken quite a big job, and we'd had to get an au pair, and the job involved a lot of traveling. And there was an inspection. I managed basically chains of day nurseries around the UK through this one company, and it's a pretty hard cutthroat company to work for. And they had an Ofsted inspection that was really, really damaging on one of the nursery sites. And as one of the directors of the company, they effectively had asked me to be creative with a counterclaim. They were basically going to take Ofsted to court. And I didn't agree with it. Like, I really wholeheartedly thought the Ofsted inspector was right.
Okay.
I felt that what they discovered was incredibly damaging. And basically it was awful. And the company that I work for put the most horrific pressure on me. And it made me really, really ill, like really ill. I left that job. I didn't even get signed off. It was a bank holiday weekend, and we'd had friends over for dinner. I couldn't even hold a conversation. I couldn't get my words out. I'd spent the day crying, thinking about going back and how awful it had made me feel. And it just floored me. And so I sent them a text message and said, I'm never coming back. I'm done. And I had 6 months off of work. I couldn't get myself into a place where I could work. It was horrific. It was horrific. I remember driving past the local, I don't know if you can call it a mental hospital. I don't know what the words are these days, but that's what we had, a Tyndall near us. And I wanted to drive down the driveway and ask them if they'd take me for 2 weeks, because I just felt really, really desperate.
Yeah.
And how did I get out of it? Well, I would say 12 years later that I'm still finding the things that work. I'm very susceptible to burnout. I've had little mini episodes post that. I've had a lot of therapy. I have done an incredible amount of work on myself. And that really is an ongoing journey. And I have to be really, really careful. As I said, just before I just went on holiday, I missed some of the signs, but I've become better at it. Yeah, I would just say it's pretty ongoing. I think I'm starting to accept that is kind of always in my periphery. And it's really bad because you feel like you're a bit weird.
Not at all. As mums and women, not just mums, but women, so much falls onto us in terms of like the pressure and like you said, sort of wanting to, almost like save face and like for everything to just be. And I know it was a different time back then, but even now, like you see women who are like, I just don't want anything to give, and it's hard to put boundaries in place and it's hard to say no. But actually, I think it's often just like a trait. It's never like, oh, I'm over it and I'm done.
Oh, no.
It's like, I feel it creeping in again, but then I have to learn to manage it again. And it's,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when we went into the lockdowns, as I said, like husband and I run this, I've left that nursery and I'm helping my husband out with his business and all this sort of stuff for the last 12 years. So that's been hard because we've grown a business, didn't realize how much I was working. I'd probably been really pushing it the year pre-COVID. And so when we went into the lockdowns, trying to keep this multi-million-pound business going in the background was awful. And I started to have problems with my sleep and all this sort of stuff. And then eventually I had some other symptoms and I thought, oh, maybe it's my endo, maybe I'm having a burnout period, like I'm just not looking after myself. And then they said to me, oh, you're in early menopause. I thought, well, for fuck's sake. But again, that really made me stop and take stock. So even in those years prior where I was trying to juggle the burnout, what I was actually trying to do was just about keep it at bay so I could keep pushing through.
Yes.
Then that bit during COVID and being told I was in early menopause just really made me stop and think. So that work had been going on, but then it speeds up at different chapters of your life and your life changes and evolves. And when you've got small children, if you're a person struggling with burnout, that is not easy. Like if you're susceptible to that, because you need the money to pay your mortgage each month and you have to run your kids around to 5,000 clubs and you do want to make sure you're eating well and exercising well and keeping up with all your friends. Oh, and you want to play your A game and try and get to the top of your career ladder. I mean, I don't know, for me personally, it was the pressure I put on myself. So actually, when you stop, sometimes that pressure isn't coming from anybody else. It's coming from you.
Yeah.
And that's quite hard to accept that. Like I am really, really hard on myself and really beat myself up. And in more recent years, I've come to discover that I have quite low sort of self-belief. And that's probably where it sort of stems from, is like this need to constantly overperform and prove to myself. And yeah, it just takes a lot of time to unpick those things.
Yeah.
But what I will say to people is, I mean, I paid for therapy and I've paid for varying things over the years, but there isn't a question you can't get answered through Google or ChatGPT or whatever these days. That you can do a lot of the unpicking yourself, but you've got to really want to make a change in life, in your life.
Right. Yeah. That is such great advice, because I think there's so many people that will really resonate with this and listen to your story and think, oh, that sounds like me. And especially when you just mentioned like the self-belief, and, a lot of mums I speak to, it's often either that or, like similar things like imposter
syndrome. Yeah.
And just thinking like I'm not worthy, so I just got to really, really graft and I can't possibly let things go and relax, and just not knowing how to sit still and relax and be with thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, look, 5 years ago, I didn't know that you could train your mindset. That's new to me. That's been like game changer stuff. I mean, when I launched the business, I'd never been on social media. I'd had a Facebook account, but didn't kind of do anything with it. And all of a sudden threw myself in. I just thought, oh, you can just make a few videos and just show up and people will buy your stuff. I mean, how naive and stupid can you be in your 40s? And I really struggled with the imposter syndrome and that feeling that of not being good enough and self-belief and all that sort of stuff. And then I've slowly sort of worked out you can train your mindset. And yeah, it's honestly, it's been, I keep using the word journey, but it really is. And I think that women go on a very different journey to what men go on. It's not the same. I don't know any man that struggles with burnout. And I've talked to a lot. Me and my husband work in a very male dominated environment. So I talk to a lot of men and I don't hear it. They don't have the same pressures. The words mental load, that was only in my vocabulary a few years ago. And that, God, if I'd have had that 20 years ago with my husband, I've had a hard time from me. I couldn't articulate it and explain it back then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think it doesn't always go away. You can make things a little bit quieter. You can retrain and reframe things. You have to be switched on to that all the time. And with mum, that isn't easy. And sometimes I think if I look back now, I wished I'd just ebbed and flowed a little bit more gently with myself.
Yeah, self-love, self-compassion, like that kind of thing is quite hard when you're really kind of grafting to set up a business. And I don't know, it's hard also to like know if you're doing all the right things when you're a solo business owner. I know you've got a team now and you've got lots of incredible ambassadors and the brew crew, and it's amazing to think that maybe perhaps you can speak to those women and like bounce ideas off, or just talk about like the mental health struggles if those are kind of like taking over in one particular week or whatever. So yeah, I think it's like you said, it is a good sort of evolution of time where we're able to put labels on things like the mental load and mental health and the things that you wouldn't have been talking about when your daughter was young, and that's a good thing. But I think now what we need to do is try and make the shift happen so that women don't, it's the equality side of it and it's the systemic stuff.
Yeah, and absolutely. And something else I've noticed having a daughter who's going into her 20s is the impact. It's not an impact that it's had on her, but the influence it's had on her. Like I can definitely see, I mean, she's just moved to Canada to study for a year and, it was a big move and she's had moments of anxiety. She's talking to me on the phone and I'm like, oh my God, that's like listening to myself 20 years ago. And you think, I've done that, I've created that, and I don't want her to have that. So, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
It is, but also
around that messaging with her now, like as a young woman coming into her career life, the things that I could share with her that would help her.
I bet you've got some incredible advice that you've probably been giving her, and I bet you're like a really good sounding board when she has.
Oh, do you know what she says to me? This will make you laugh. She'll ring up and she'll say, Mum, don't tell me to have a chat with myself, but so I'm forever like, you just need to stop and have a little chat with yourself because it's all getting a bit out of hand right here. Mainly because that's what I'm saying to myself. But she's like, don't tell me I need to have a chat with myself.
I love that. Do you know what I'm really intrigued about? Because I speak to so many mothers who have younger children.
Yeah.
And I'm really intrigued about like having a child who's now, well, she's essentially an adult. And yeah, the fact you were talking before we hit record about her just literally flying to Canada and doing her studies over there and the feelings behind that and the emotions. And I just cannot imagine like that stage of life and what that's like. And I don't know, the conversations you must have, I bet it must be really fun. You're having adult conversations.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the teenage years are interesting, just to really warn you. Like, hugging small children right now because it's about to get a little bit bumpy.
Everyone says that and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited for her in this chapter. I mean, how amazing. I mean, wouldn't you give to go back to 20 and do it all again and do it differently? So there is this huge excitement for your children going through that phase. I don't know about other mums. I've heard of mums say about empty nest. I don't feel like I've got empty nest. I feel like it's almost like a mourning for those baby years. That guilt of not appreciating it enough. I wanted it gone because it meant I couldn't move up the career ladder at the time, you know, and do all the things I wanted it to do. So you sort of wish it away, don't you? You think, oh God, bloody teething, it's really hard work and they're up all night. And
Yes.
you don't realise you're doing it, and it's really natural to, oh, can't wait for them to be this age so that we can do this sort of stuff with them. But that's the bit where I'm looking back thinking, oh man, I could cry just thinking about it.
I could as well, honestly.
I wished I'd held it tighter, and I wished I'd appreciated it differently. And I mean, we've had a great time being. I mean, my husband was sat having dinner last night, and she has had some tears with going to Canada, like lots of anxiety, lots of big move. She'd come on her period. She was jet lagged. I mean, she was literally like an emotional wreck, and it was awful for a couple of days with midnight phone calls and stuff. And last night's phone call, she is sounding really settled, and she's made some friends, and she's like excited for what she's doing. And me and my husband just sat afterwards, and we're just like, you know, we've done a really good job with her. And I think that's really important, to reflect on what you've done as a couple.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're making me cry. That's like,
oh, honestly,
so emotional.
like, you've caught me at a time where it's been a little emotional whirlwind. I mean, I miss her terribly.
Yeah.
She's bound to meet some boy over there and want to live there, and I'll be just hi to me, darling.
She'll meet some lumberjack and be like,
yeah, hopefully.
they're in a cabin in the woods.
I hope she has a great time. I know she'll have a great time now that she's settled. But yeah, you're excited for them and you want them to have their next chapter, but you also just want to say, just stay at home and I'll look after you. It'll be fine. You stay here, I can keep you safe.
Yeah. I love that you and your husband had that reflection. I think that it's so important to just reflect, and to sometimes just reflect with love and just be like, we did a bloody good job. And yeah. And just you talking about like them being babies and like those really hard years, it's okay to still feel like that was shit, and it was okay for it to be shit, and okay that I hated it, because I remember those feelings as well. I remember thinking like exactly the same as what you just said there, like I just wish that they would grow up or sleep through the night so I could actually feel like a human being again. And
yeah, I can't say I was the most present mum. I mean, I loved being pregnant, and I loved the newborn bit. The bit when I went back to work, I just juggled for years and years. And my sister's done the same. I mean, when she had her son, she asked me for advice, and I was just like, stay at home as long as you can, basically. Which isn't what she's chosen to do. But yeah, now I'm watching her do the juggle. My sister's husband is the stay-at-home dad as well, because she has a really big job, and she's decided to be the full-timer, but she still has the mental load that he doesn't. And it's really interesting to observe that. Like, it just wouldn't cross his mind to do certain tasks during the week, and all the emails and the mum communication all still comes through to my sister rather than him. So yeah, it's really interesting to see how they're sort of navigating that stage. But yeah, it's just a juggle, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, that is interesting hearing about that. And I think good for him, because it's great that a man can have the opportunity to do that. And I think that, yeah, the system should change so that more men can do that, or at least have better, paternity leave. That's a whole different concept.
Yeah.
But yeah, very interesting with the mental load.
It's so quick though, Laura. Your kids will be turning 18 and you'll be like, what? How is that possible? It feels like you've just blinked and it's gone.
Do you know what? I was literally about 2 nights ago, I was lying next to he's just turned 6, my youngest, and I was lying next to him in bed, and I said, sorry, I think I'm going to cry again, but I was like, it's because I'm in my luteal phase, like emotion.
Needed.
He was saying, I want to live with you forever, and I don't want you to die. And we had that conversation, and it was really emotional. And I was like, you can live with mummy and daddy for as long as you want, because there's some parents out there that are just like, oh, I can't wait for you to move out, and
Yeah.
I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to say, you can live with us as long as you want, because I know that one day he won't. Like, he'll get to 18 and be like, I really want to like travel or whatever. But I was just like, oh my God, there is going to be that day, and I am going to be such a mess, because although it's hard work parenting, like, it's going to feel so weird not having that motherly kind of.
The best advice my mum ever gave to me, and it honestly, she said this to me when I was pregnant, and it has stuck with me throughout. And she said to me, what you're worrying about today is not what you're going to be worrying about in a year's time. Just let it go. And it is so true.
Such good advice.
So true. Phase that you move through with your children, the worries change and they evolve as well. So just trying to be a little bit more present. And I still use that. I could hear myself saying it to Lily the other day, like, don't worry, darling, what you're worried about now, it won't be there in a year's time. So
I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal that from your mum because I love that. And it's so true. Everything comes in such phases, doesn't it, when it comes to parenthood? Okay, we're running out of time. So I want to obviously talk about your handles and where people can find you and what you're up to. And I also want to mention a partnership that we are going to do, especially for these podcast listeners who are listening in. But first of all, the final question that I want to ask you, Candice, is if you could go back to pregnant version of you, what advice would you give her?
I would just say it's all going to be okay and that you are enough. I actually don't know if I can say that without crying.
Oh, well, I mean, it's emotional. It's emotional because you don't know what's going to come when you're pregnant. The first time pregnant version of you literally has no bloody clue. You can do NCT, you can get told all the things, but really it's such a transformative journey and it's such a fucking hard journey.
Yeah, I mean, Lily was a very natural surprise, shall we say. So at a time in life that I wasn't necessarily ready for it. And yeah, so I would say it was a scary time for me when I was pregnant. It wasn't a safe space. And yeah, I really want to go back and hug her and also tell her she fucking smashed it.
Yes.
And that is not who she thought. I am not the person I was when I had Lily. I am not the person I was 5 years ago. That I think the evolution that women go through is amazing. So I would like to say to myself at each step there, you are enough. Keep going.
Yeah. And I want to remind you to keep telling yourself that as well, because you mentioned self-belief and your journey with your business and everything. Honestly, it's great advice, isn't it? So yeah, I love that. Beautiful. I want to just let all of the listeners know that I'm so honoured because Candice has kindly agreed for us to do a little bit of a brand partnership. So Mother Cuppa Tea is such a beautiful brand. The teas are gorgeous. I've tried a few because I've been to network. We're part of the same networking collective, the Wilder Collective, which is run by Nikki Denson Elliott, and that's where I found you, and that's where I first tried your teas. And I've, as I said, I've been drinking the Energizer one, which is just so beautiful and gorgeous and tasty. And so I'd love to just let all the listeners know that Candice has very kindly offered 25% off as a welcome discount. So I will put a link in. You're going to share a link with me, right? And
yeah. Well, I'll share a link with you. That will give you the 25% off the wellness collection. So you've got a tea there for each step of the day. So for all you lovely mummies who I know are just juggling the hell out of life, that's going to just be there to support you. And come and give me a follow on Instagram, which is where I sort of tend to hang out quite a lot. I love meeting new people. I love hearing about other people's journeys, and I love resonating with it. For me, it's like that connection bit. So I love that part of the business. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, which is lovely. And the wellness collection is all of the ones that Candice has just spoken about in the episode. So where can people find you? What's your Instagram handle and what's your website?
I am Mother Cuppa _Tea, little black label, and the website is Mother Tea.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Candice, for joining me on the pod today.
I love it. Do you know what? I'm just going to add.
Yeah.
Teas are safe for pregnant mummies, breastfeeding mummies as well, which you might have some in your community. So I just suddenly thought about that. So look, I just want to say a massive thank you. It's really lovely to be so vulnerable and share my journey with you. And I genuinely hope that it has helped one person.
Oh, bless you. That's so lovely. No, honestly, it will be helping people because these are the kinds of conversations that come up a lot on the podcast. And obviously that I share it on my socials as well, generally about burnout and stress. And so, and just the whole matrescence journey. So thank you for being vulnerable and open and for sharing your story. Thank you for setting up such an awesome company and such gorgeous teas. And I look forward to people trying them and letting us know and tagging you and letting us know how they get on with them. All right, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you, Candice. And we'll catch up soon.